Are you in control of your time? In this video, I'm going to show you how to take charge of your time. Keep watching. This is Life Mastery Gym, and I'm Damon, and I teach people just like you cutting-edge NLP processes and techniques so that you can master your destiny and take charge of your life. So if that sounds good, please click subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can get these videos on a regular basis. There's objective time and subjective time. When you understand the difference between the two, it will save you a lot of time. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand how you create time so that you can get back in control of it, so you're in charge of your time. Before I learned NLP Timeline, I was not nearly as productive as I am now, and I can teach you this. Make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video because I'm going to show you a way that you can also take what I'm going to teach you here a lot deeper. The first thing we need to do is establish what is the difference between objective time and subjective time. But before I do that, I would like to hear from you. Do you feel like you're in control of your time? Type yes or no in the comments below. Okay, so I tried shooting a video outside in Seattle, and I've been putting the video off ever since I got here. I was thinking, well, I'll shoot the first day, and then it was rainy and cold and cloudy. And I thought, okay, I'll push that back to the next day. And the next day was rainy, cloudy, and cold. And then I pushed it off to the final day, and the sun was supposed to come out, and it didn't. So I got to shoot a little bit outside, and then I had to come back inside. It was just too wet, cold, and windy, and yeah, it just wasn't ideal circumstances for shooting, so I'm back inside. So let's get back to time. There is clock time, and this is what I call objective time, because no matter who you are, no matter how successful you are, it does not matter. The seconds will tick by at the same rate, and then that will turn into minutes, which will turn into hours, and then to days, and et cetera, et cetera. This doesn't change for anybody. In fact, in this way, time is the great equalizer, because we all get 24 hours in a day. No matter who you are, no matter how great you are, successful you are, poor you are, unsuccessful you are, it's all the same to everyone. And this is what I call objective time. And then there is subjective time. So think about when you're having a really good time and you're enjoying yourself, maybe at a party, and how suddenly hours seem to go by like minutes. It's before you know it, the party's over, the good time is over. Yet, when you're bored, time seems to really slow down, or especially if you're doing something that is really uncomfortable, or you are really uncomfortable, time seems to slow down to a tick. And this is obviously the same no matter what. An hour passes by whether or not you're having fun or you're bored and not having fun. An hour is an hour, but one will seem like it passes really fast and one will seem like it passes really slow. So this is subjective time, or what I'm calling subjective time. NLP is the study of the structure of subjective experience. So since time is subjective and time has a structure to it, and time makes up a huge chunk of how you sense reality. If you think about it, what really makes up your reality? There is time and there is space. Now there might be more to it than that. We might be able to add more to it than that. But if you think about those two things, those are really the things that sort of contain your sense of reality. So if there is a structure to the subjectivity of time that you can elicit and get to know and understand, then you can change it. And this is why in NLP we are interested in time, because again, there is a subjective time and we can study that structure and we can change it. Because we can understand it, we can get control over it. So in doing this, we have this thing called timeline. Now, this is not something that NLP just made up. In fact, when it comes to NLP, it's not about making things up. It is about eliciting that structure of subjectivity. So you might have certain technologies, certain personal development, self-help things or models that they sort of make up these techniques, and there's nothing wrong with those things. I'm just wanting to distinguish how NLP is different, because a lot of times when I teach NLP, people go, oh, well, I kind of knew that. It's like, well, yeah, we kind of all know that. It's just unconscious. So in that sense, we know it because it's inside of us, but we don't know it because we're not conscious of it. And if we're not conscious of it, that means we have no control over it and we can't change it if we're not conscious of it. In that sense, whatever is unconscious is controlling us. So if we're unconscious of how we create our sense of time, then time is having its way with us rather than us being in charge of our time. So when you understand how you create your sense of time, and in this case, when you understand your timeline, how you structure your past, your present, and your future, then you start taking control of your reality big time. So there are two main types of timeline, or how we create timeline. So different people will do this in different ways. There is something called through time, and that's when we create our timeline sort of in front of us. The past is often to the left, the present is often either right here in front of us or actually seems to go through us, and the future is usually going this way and to the right. Now, it can be totally flipped around. Some people's future is over here and their past is over here. Now, this is what we call through time. And there's an advantage to being through time, and there's a disadvantage to being through time. I'll go into that in a moment. And then there's in time. And these people, they create their sense of time as a timeline that goes through them. So the present again is right here, the future is in front of them, and it goes off and off in front of them. Usually goes up, but not always. And their past is behind them. Now, there's also some variations. Sometimes people have it a bit diagonal this way or diagonal that way. And in really rare cases, it'll be flipped. The person's past will be in front of them and their future will be behind them. And that can create a lot of problems. I can cover that in a future video. This isn't the right video to cover that one in. So let's talk about through time. So through time is, in most cases, the past is on the left, future is on the right, present is right here. Now, the good part about this is you can often see your entire timeline. So you can look to your left and you can see past mistakes so you don't repeat them. And then you can have a sense of where the future will take you. And if your present goes through you, the timeline sort of goes through you in the present, this is usually good. It usually means you're associated. And we want to live from a place of being associated. You can be disassociated, and often if you look into memories or you remember past memories, you'll see them as if you are seeing yourself in the memory. We call this disassociated. Now, this can be a powerful technique to use if you feel stuck in a problem that you can't solve. If you disassociate, it gives you a feeling of stepping outside of yourself and looking back at yourself. And then from that perspective, you might see something that you didn't see before, and you can get unstuck and solve a problem. But for the most part, you want to be associated. You want to live from an associated place. There's a lot of through time people who they pop their timeline out, so even the present seems disconnected from them. And so they're disassociated in time, in the present. And like I said, this is good to use when you're solving a problem, but you want to live from a place of being associated. So this can actually create a problem. So you want to bring your timeline back into you. Now, people might say, well, I have no idea what you're talking about, Damon. How would you even elicit such a thing? Glad you asked. One of the ways that you can do it is you can take something very simple like brushing your teeth. So chances are you probably brushed your teeth this morning. How do you know that you did that? And a lot of people say, well, I see myself brushing my teeth, or I see an associated image of me, like with my hand out brushing my teeth. And because we often brush our teeth in the bathroom in front of a mirror, we often do see it as a disassociated image, like I see myself brushing my teeth. Well, where do you see that image? And a lot of people say, well, I see it in the bathroom. That's not what I mean. Where in your personal space do you see it? So if you see that image of yourself brushing your teeth, point to where you see that image. So it might be here, it might be here, or it might be right in front of me. If you are a through time person, you will probably see it right about here. If you're an in time person, you might see it kind of like higher up because it was, or you might even not even have a sense of it. It might be behind you. So you keep asking these questions. So you go, well, if I remember when I was brushing my teeth a week ago, where do I see that image? And for me, it's going to be over here. So it starts to go to my left. Well, if I imagine brushing my teeth when I was a kid, it goes way over here. I can also take it the other way and say, imagine brushing my teeth into the future. And where does that go? I start seeing it going this way. So this way I know my timeline does this. Now I've purposefully modified my timeline a bit for my past to sort of go down and a little bit to the side of me, so it doesn't get in my way. And my future does something like this. It didn't always do that. It was more like this, but I purposefully modified it this way. So this way, if I ever need to access the past, I can. Sometimes people's past are more like here, and it gets in their way. It's too much in their face. So they're constantly trying to move away from past mistakes by keeping them close and in front of them. This actually can get in your way. So you might want to move it back. And I move mine back and down, move my future up here so I can really get a sense that I'm going this way. If I ever need to check my mistakes, they're right there. Now, in-time people often will repeat mistakes over and over because their past is behind them. All past mistakes are behind them. They can't even see it. So this can create a problem. In-time people often are very present wherever they are. They're very associated, and this makes them, this can be very, very useful to be that associated. But oftentimes they're actually late because they don't have a sense of that time in front of them like this. Where they need to be is often up like this. But if you talk to an in-time person, they'll often have the same thing to say, that they feel like wherever they are, they're on time. And when they show up, no matter when they show up, well, they're on time because that's when they showed up. So that's how present they tend to be. So the advantage is in-time people are very present. The disadvantage is they're often late, and a lot of times they will repeat past mistakes because they're so present and they don't even access their past mistakes. So elicit your time, elicit your timeline, and understand how you're creating that. And you can modify the timeline, see what works best for you. I think for most people, a diagonal line, a diagonal timeline is going to work best for you. And you can do that if you're in time, and you can do that if you're through time. You want to make sure your past doesn't get in your way, and you want to make sure you have a sense of a vision of where you're going in the future, and you want to make sure your timeline goes through you, whether that you're in time or through time. The more your timeline goes through you and you're present, the more associated you're going to be. Play with this, and as you do, you will get a sense of having or being more in control of your sense of time, and it will affect the way that you schedule your day, you schedule your week, you schedule your year. And just throughout the day, knowing how you create time and how your timeline works, you will get control over your time. So now you understand how you create time. And like I said, the more you understand how you create time and get control over it, the more it will affect how you sense reality or how you experience reality, because time is such an important part, such a huge chunk of your sense of reality. But what you don't know is more about what's even, I guess, what I would say affects the totality of your sense of reality, the thing that contains both time and space, and that is your self-concept. This is the most powerful belief or generalization that you create. And when you get control of that, then you really take charge of your reality. So what I've done is I've created a checklist on the healthy elements of a self-concept, or the elements of a healthy self-concept. And you can get your hands on this checklist by clicking the link in the description right down below. You also see it in the comments down below. It's the pinned comment at the top. Just click that link and you get immediate access to that checklist. And that's when you really start taking complete charge of your reality. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember, while you're down there, get your hands on that free checklist. If you know someone who you think would benefit from watching this video, make sure you share it with them. I will see you in the next video. Take care.